Good evening. Hope everybody enjoyed their weekend. It was a full moon Saturday night, Sunday morning, and which is a great time if you work kind of a Monday through Friday schedule. Anyway, I use The Witch's Date Book by Llewellyn for a lot of things, and this month they were describing the Hunter's Moon, this month's moon as the Hunter's Moon, even though it's also listed as the morning moon. So I've never, side note, I've never gotten around to naming the moons, and I know a lot of people do this, but it just hasn't come up as like a standard list of names. I find it just hasn't been helpful, so I haven't gotten around to doing it. Um, but I can see where it can be useful just if you're planning certain things at certain moons. So it's a personal thing. Anyway, the date book described a ritual for what they described as the Hunter's Moon. For the November full moon celebration, decorate your altar with white pumpkins and gourds and a branch of cedar. No real description as to, or explanation as to why. This moon is also often called the snow moon. So we've got Hunter's Moon, Snow Moon, and Morning Moon. Think of yourself on the hunt as a spiritual quest and use this ritual as an introspection or meditation. Visualize yourself walking through snowy woods in the moonlight. Light white candles and see yourself carrying one of these candles through the woods, like a miniature moon glowing inside a lantern. Recite the chant and imagine yourself on a journey for enlightenment. Seeking, questing, search within, moonlight, watch as I begin. Seeking, questing, search without, moonlight, shine upon my depth. Show me what I need to know. Hunter's Moon, I feel your glow. By Ember Grant. I didn't do this for the weekend, but while I'm reading this thing a couple of weeks ago to know when the full moon was going to happen, um, the the meditation visually reminded me a lot of the Hermit card from the tarot, and I would like to preface this with because I'm going to get into the tarot. I've only been studying the tarot, casually uh, for a little less than 2 years now, so it's not like I have great success or great insight into the subject that you couldn't find elsewhere. But I was thinking about it in relation, the Hermit and the Hunter's Man. So I thought I'd share that. And I guess it would be a more sinister interpretation of the card because as what I've read, it's usually recognized as a card of wisdom and solitary practice and finding a teacher, um, looking inward for answers. Uh, sure, but um, and this interpretation would have to be in relation to the context of the cards, of course. I've never gotten into the habit of doing one card readings. Um, I feel you need at least a couple to get an idea of what the subject matter that's really coming up. So in context to what other cards have been drawn, I can see the Hermit as being a hunter card in that you have, unless you're dealing with like pack hunters like wolves, frequently hunters in wild um, and people, it's often a solitary activity. Even if you're going out with a group of people, the end result is you, um, your weapon of choice, I suppose, and your prey, and it becomes a very individual moment, a very solitary act when you're choosing your prey, sighting, uh, you know, pulling the trigger, I suppose. and essentially coming to terms with that. I mean, deciding to go in the first place, and then you know making contact with the prey, and going through with it. Um, the hermit holding the lantern itself is kind of like how this ritual described it, where it was uh, you're on the hunt for a spiritual quest. You are seeking something, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a physical prey. It could be a goal in mind, uh, something that you want to make manifest in your life, and you need to find it first, whether that's the right attitude to pursue it or not. In addition, the lantern can be considered a trap of sorts. There are plenty of animals in the wild where they draw in their prey by some sort of bait, a smell, a light, um, setting up an environment that looks innocuous enough that brings the prey to them, and then they strike. So the lantern could be that light that draws the moth toward the candle flame, essentially. And it could be, again, a physical relationship. I mean, like a literal relationship between the hunter and the prey. It could be something a little more abstract, uh, and very plausible in the pagan community, where a teacher, a self-entitled teacher, has laid out a debate of great wisdom and brings in students. So the hermit slash hunter card could be one of those teachers that you really should be avoiding, because the drama and the information um, that's going to be wrapped up in that situation, that relationship, is just not worth it. So again, this is just kind of random musings in regards to the card, kind of inspired from this season's full moon. But I thought I'd share that since it wasn't an interpretation that I'd seen before, but it, with more practice in the cards, I just it might fall flat. But I figured I'd make notes of it, and keep an eye out if the card should show up um, in with some relationship to the question at hand, and the other cards, and see if that kind of sinister analysis of the card actually bears more fruit than the more traditional one. So anyway, I hope everybody enjoyed their weekend, and I'll catch y'all later. So cheers.